It seems it's popular to add the Ultra moniker to a smartwatch name these days, following the success of the Apple Watch Ultra. Samsung did it and caused a bit of a reaction at the time, and now Honor's done it with the Honor Watch 5 Ultra. But which of these is more deserving of the Ultra labeling, the Samsung or the Honor, or are they both just pretenders? I'm Cam Bunton, this is Trusted Reviews, let's dive in. There's an argument to be made that design, build, weight and shaping all play a really big part in whether or not you should choose one watch over the other. And it's safe to say Honor and Samsung both have quite different approaches to their Ultra series designs. Because of its shaping and design, the Honor watch looks a lot thinner than the Galaxy Watch Ultra, but when you look at specs there's not actually that much in it. We're talking just over 0.5 millimeter thinner, but because of the design and how the layers and angles on the bezel and the framing have been shaped, the Honor gives the illusion that it's a lot slimmer. Samsung's shaping is quite crude by comparison, with a pretty flat chunky edge around the four sides of the watch. The Samsung's is also a little wider, measuring just over 47 millimeters, where Honor's watch has a width just over 46. So clearly both are on the larger side of the scale. Both are made with a combination of similar materials too. We're talking titanium metal framing and ceramic or ceramic-like materials and sapphire crystal glass over the display. In short, they're both capable of taking a beating, they won't scratch, dent or get damaged easily. It's a similar story with water and dust proofing. Both are IP68 rated, but where Honor's has a 5 atmosphere waterproof rating, Samsung's has a 10 atmosphere rating and is tested for use in salt water. Honor, however, is rated for free diving down to 40 meters, where Samsung's doesn't have a diving or high pressure protection at all, which seems a bit of a miss. Now, despite Samsung having additional buttons, I'd argue that the 2-button system on the Honor watch is far more intuitive and useful, purely for the fact that the crown in the top right also acts as a scroll wheel, so you can scroll through and navigate the interface without touching the screen all the time. Samsung doesn't give you that flexibility on this watch, and for fitness-focused watches where you're on the move and when touchscreen-only controls are just fiddly, it is a bit of an oversight. However, it does have that shortcut key which you can program to launch any function quickly, like jumping straight into a running workout. So if you're a daily runner, you can just pre-program it to quickly start a running session immediately after pressing it. There is another area Honor's approach is also more practical, and it's as simple as using a standard watch strap fitting. It's just got your typical average Joe quick release mechanism, which means finding a strap for it is really easy. There are tons of affordable options on Amazon, so you can buy a few and just change your style whenever you feel like it really easily. Samsung's proprietary fitting inside the case makes it a lot harder to do that. It attaches inside the casing a bit like the Apple Watch, essentially limiting you to expensive first-party straps if you want a proper fit. Now, while design can have a big sway on your decision, it's the software features and the health tracking abilities that I think matter more. And in the case of these two watches, you're essentially choosing between a watch with limited smartwatch features but with really long battery life, and a watch with all the latest smartwatch features but shorter battery life. Of course, Honor is the former, Samsung is the latter. So because the Samsung watch is built on the Wear OS platform, you can install third-party apps, or you can have Spotify or YouTube Music on there for listening to music. You can set up Google Pay or Samsung Pay to make contactless payments from your wrist, and you get a lot more interaction with your notifications and messages, and integration with Google Maps for navigation. In terms of those lifestyle features, it's just got a lot more of them. There is a limitation though, it only works with Android phones, and some features only work if you have a Samsung phone. By making it in effect a fitness tracker with some added extras, a bit like how Garmin approaches the smartwatch category, Honor has made a platform agnostic device, and that means you can use it with Android or iPhone. It's not fussy. You can control the music on your phone, or you can manually add tracks or songs to the watch using the Honor Health app, but that's about it. Most of all the other features on this watch are fitness focused and match pretty closely what you'll find on most other fitness focused watches. If you're into outdoor activities like tracking runs, bike rides, hikes and checking over your route and metrics afterwards, the good news is that both of these have solid GPS tracking abilities. And even though the Honor watch hasn't got multi-band frequency support, it still matched almost exactly the same distance on all the walks and runs that I took them both on over the course of the last 10 days or so. Regardless of whether it was running or walking, they were pretty much always within about 10 meters of each other, and that gap didn't really increase over the distance. In most cases, I'd get that little vibration and summary after every kilometer on the Honor first, with the Samsung following just about 3 or 4 seconds afterwards consistently for the entire route. Heart rate and effort information was pretty much bang on as well, or at least the low and high heart rate points were within about 3 or 4 beats per minute of each other. Where Honor showed a little lacking was in elevation estimation, or how much hill work was done during the workout, often measuring really unusual elevation data which didn't match the route, with weird upward spikes in places. It was also weaker when it came to measuring heart rate during intense activities like kettlebells and strength sessions. It was inconsistent, sometimes doing that thing that watches all used to do about 2 or 3 years ago, where it wouldn't show the correct heart rate for the first 5 or 10 minutes before it cottoned on to the fact that yes, you have just started an intense activity. And even then, when it finally did catch up, it was still about 20 beats per minute or so below what every other current high-end tracker would show. Other workouts, I didn't have this issue. It was a bit hit and miss though, like I said, very inconsistent, and sometimes it would work and other times it didn't. So if you're in the habit of using a fitness tracker during activities where your arms move and bend a lot, especially high intensity intervals, the Honor isn't strong in those. Samsung was a better choice in those activities. Now, while tracking accuracy is important, just as vital is having a good health platform to go back to that takes all your data and presents it in a helpful way. And it has to be said, when you compare it to the likes of Garmin, Fitbit, Whoop, or even Oura, both of these platforms do come up a little bit lacking. But of the two, I found Samsung Health the more intuitive and easy to use. A lot of it comes down to what looks like poor translations into English on the Honor app, where some words and phrases just don't strike right. But the app also just feels a bit cluttered and basic. For my own personal use, what I want to see front and center is a look at how I'm doing today. Not in terms of whether or not I'm closing rings, but if I've recovered, if I'm ready for another training session, and easy access to my previous sessions and last night's sleep. Neither really does this, but I do feel like Samsung presents things in a way that make a bit more sense. There's not that much in it though. It's pretty easy to go digging into your sleep sessions, workouts, and other metrics like all-day heart rate to see patterns. Samsung does have that energy score though, which, while not the most useful, does give you a good place to start every morning. Using your sleep data along with any workout or activities you've done the previous day, it can inform you how much energy you have in a score out of 100 first thing in the morning, but it doesn't update in real time during the day, which is one thing it's missing. Honor doesn't really have anything like this. It just tells you how much recovery you need based on your last activity. Sleep tracking can be consistent on both, but there's the odd night where it's not. I've not seen anything wildly different in terms of times or anything like that, but I do always see differences in terms of stages measured. Splitting up REM, deep and light sleep, and awake stages always looks different between two different watches, but their calculations and summaries telling me when I've had a good sleep or a bad sleep generally marry up with how I'm feeling when I wake up. Both regularly do that thing where if I'm sat too still on the sofa watching Netflix late at night, it thinks I'm asleep before I actually am and measures that as part of my sleep cycle. But Samsung can also enable snore detection if your phone is nearby, keeping an eye on more of your sleep metrics. How much of this is useful? I don't know. Samsung's at least feeds into that energy score for the next day, but neither uses an obvious training readiness or body battery feature that updates during the day like Garmin and Fitbit do. So it does feel like tying that rest into an overall holistic look at your current state is lacking from the two companies. But if there's one area the Honor Watch absolutely destroys the Samsung, it's in battery life. It lasts long enough that I'd often forget it even needs charging at all, with the ability to last up to 15 days between charges. And when it did need charging, I could just rest it on top of the wireless charging base on my bedside. I didn't have to use the dedicated charger because it can lie completely flat. Samsung's watch in my experience usually lasts between 3 or 4 days with my own use, which is pretty light on any smartwatch type features. I don't really have notifications bothering me except for the important ones, and rarely ever use watches to reply to messages. But because of its strap design, I couldn't really use my standard wireless charger in the same way with the Samsung. It just won't lie flat, so you're forced to use that proprietary charging cable that comes with it. Not a big deal, but just a little bit less convenient if you have chargers around the house. In the end, I think it's clear if you want an actual sports tracking watch for detailed analysis and insight into your activity and your rest and health, you probably don't want either of these watches. You want a Garmin. However, of the two, I think the choice might be quite simple. If you want a health and fitness tracking in a watch that lasts for a long time between charges and works with both Android and iPhone, the Honor Watch is the one for you. Also, the fact it's just about half the price of the Samsung might just make that decision for you. It's great value for money. If you want the more fully featured smartwatch platform with the best waterproofing and more consistent health and fitness tracking, the Galaxy Watch Ultra is your best bet. Let me know what you think of these two watches in the comments down below. You can grab me on social media. I'm at Cam Bunton in most places. If you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap that notification bell, and I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.